Ever clicked a link and the page just snapped onto your screen, fully loaded, like magic? It felt instant, right? And then there are those other sites that make you stare at a blank screen for what feels like an eternity, slowly trickling in content. We often blame our internet connection, thinking it's all about download speed. But here's the shocking truth: a slow website might not be your fault at all. What we need to understand is that the speed of a website isn't solely dictated by your bandwidth. It's actually a fundamental choice made by the developers, a core decision in how the website is literally built and delivered to your browser. This decision can be the difference between an instant, delightful experience and a frustrating wait. So, how do some websites achieve this near-instant readiness? What's the secret behind their construction that lets them leap onto your screen fully formed, while others struggle? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the core rendering strategies that power the web: client-side rendering, server-side rendering, and static site generation. Let's break down how these impact your daily browsing and uncover the techniques behind truly lightning-fast web experiences. Let's start with client-side rendering, or CSR. Think of CSR like walking into a completely empty, but beautifully designed, new restaurant. When you first arrive, there's just the shell, the walls, the tables, maybe some chairs. There's no food ready, no menu displayed. You need to wait for the chef to arrive, prepare everything from scratch, and bring it to your table. Only then can you start eating. In the world of websites, that empty restaurant is the tiny bit of HTML your browser gets first. It's almost blank. But then, a massive JavaScript file starts downloading. This JavaScript is the chef. Once it downloads and executes, it dynamically builds the entire web page right there in your browser. It fetches all the data, constructs the user interface, and finally, displays the content. That's why you sometimes see a blank page, or a loading spinner, before everything suddenly appears. The genius part of CSR is that once the initial setup is done, subsequent interactions can be incredibly fast. Clicking around a CSR-built site often feels just like using a desktop application because your browser only needs to fetch small bits of new data, not entire new pages. This is perfect for complex web applications like social media feeds, online document editors, or dashboards where there's a lot of interactivity and changing data. But this approach has a hidden cost. Now, let's look at server-side rendering, or SSR. If CSR was our empty restaurant, SSR is like walking into a bustling diner where your meal is already cooked and waiting for you on the table. The menu is printed, the food is hot, and you can dive right in. The server prepared everything before you even arrived. With SSR, when you request a web page, the server does all the heavy lifting. It takes all the data, generates the full HTML for that specific page, and then sends that complete, ready-to-display HTML file straight to your browser. Your browser doesn't have to wait for JavaScript to download and build anything; it receives a fully formed page. It just paints it on the screen. This means you see content almost immediately. This is how most traditional websites were built for a very long time. Think of classic news sites, blogs, or information portals. Every time you click a link, the server generates a brand new HTML page and sends it over. The big advantage here is initial load time and search engine optimization. Search engines love fully formed HTML because it's easy for them to read and index all the content. But the trade-off is that every new page navigation requires a full round trip to the server, which can feel a little slower if you're used to instant app-like interactions. So, if SSR is faster initially, why did we move to CSR for many applications? Let's put CSR and SSR side by side to really understand the differences. Imagine you're building a massive online encyclopedia versus a dynamic social media feed. With CSR, your initial page might be just a skeleton. Your browser then downloads the JavaScript brain that builds the encyclopedia entries on the fly. This means the first load can be a bit slow because of that JavaScript download. But once it's loaded, navigating between entries feels super snappy, almost instant, because the browser already has the rendering logic. Now, with SSR, it's like the server sends you a fully printed encyclopedia page every time you request one. The first page loads really fast because all the content is right there in the HTML. But if you click to a new page, your browser has to go back to the server, get a whole new page, and redraw everything. It's like flipping through a physical book, each page turn is a distinct action. When it comes to search engines, SSR has a natural advantage. Search engine crawlers are like superfast readers. They love finding all the content immediately in the HTML. With CSR, they might have to wait for the JavaScript to execute and then see the content, which can sometimes make indexing harder. On the flip side, CSR can make the server's job lighter, pushing the work to the user's device. Each has its strengths and weaknesses, creating a constant tug-of-war for developers. But what if we could get the best of both worlds, and even more? And here's where it gets really interesting: static site generation, or SSG. Imagine a massive buffet where all the dishes are not only cooked but perfectly plated and chilled, ready for you to pick up. You just grab your plate, and boom, you're eating. There's zero waiting time for cooking or plating once you get there. SSG works exactly like that. Instead of rendering pages on the server when someone requests them, like SSR, or rendering them in the browser, like CSR, SSG builds all your website's pages during the development process, at what we call build time. These are then saved as plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files. Think of it as pre-rendering every single possible page of your website. When a user visits an SSG site, their browser just downloads these pre-built, static files. There's no server computation, no complex JavaScript execution needed to build the page from scratch. It's just served up instantly, usually from a content delivery network, or CDN, which is like a global network of storage lockers for web content. This makes SSG websites incredibly fast, highly secure, and very efficient. They are perfect for content that doesn't change very often, like blogs, marketing sites, documentation, or portfolios. This sounds amazing, but it's not for every website. Right, CSR strengths. Interactive dashboards. Social media feeds. Online editors. Real-time updates, user-specific. Okay, so we have these three powerful rendering strategies: CSR, SSR, and SSG. But how do we decide which one to use? It's like choosing the right tool for the job. Let's say you're building a personal blog. You want it to be blazing fast, super secure, and rank well on Google. SSG is your best friend here. All your articles are static, they don't change every second. You build them once, and they're ready to serve instantly to anyone, anywhere in the world. Similarly, a company's marketing site with unchanging About Us and contact pages would be a perfect SSG candidate. Now, imagine an e-commerce site. For the product pages and categories, where content is somewhat stable but important for SEO, SSR often shines. The server can pre-render the full product listing, ensuring good SEO and a fast initial load. But what about the shopping cart or the checkout process? That's highly interactive and unique to each user. Here, CSR might kick in, handling the dynamic updates of items, quantities, and payment flows without requiring a full page refresh. And for something like a real-time analytics dashboard or a collaborative online document editor? Pure CSR is often the answer. The entire application lives in your browser, dynamically fetching and displaying data as it changes, giving you that fluid, app-like experience. The key is understanding your content and user needs. The right choice makes all the difference. But wait, it gets even better. Modern web development frameworks aren't forcing us to pick just one. They're allowing us to combine these strategies, picking the best one for each part of our website. This is what we call hybrid rendering. It's like having a master chef who can prepare dishes ahead of time for the buffet, cook specific meals on demand, and even let you customize your plate at the table. Frameworks like Next.js, Nux.js, and SvelteKit are pioneers in this space. They let developers decide, page by page, or even component by component, how something should be rendered. A blog post? SSG it for speed. A user's personalized dashboard? SSR it on demand to get the latest data. A small, interactive widget on that dashboard? Let the client-side JavaScript handle that with CSR. This flexible approach gives us incredible power. We can deliver lightning-fast initial page loads for static content, ensure great SEO, and still provide highly interactive, personalized experiences where needed. We're no longer stuck in one rendering paradigm. Instead, we can optimize for performance, user experience, and developer efficiency all at once. It's the evolution of how the web is built, leading to the truly instant websites we all love. So, next time you visit a website, remember, its speed, its responsiveness, its entire feel, is a direct result of how it was engineered. We've seen that client-side rendering is great for highly interactive web applications, letting your browser handle the heavy lifting after an initial setup. Server-side rendering provides rapid initial loads and excellent SEO, ideal for content-rich sites where the server prepares everything. And static site generation delivers unparalleled speed and security by pre-building pages, perfect for unchanging content. But the real magic happens when developers intelligently combine these methods, using frameworks that adapt to the specific needs of each page or feature. This hybrid approach is giving us the best of all worlds, leading to the blazing fast, delightful web experiences we're starting to expect every day. It's not just about your internet anymore, it's about smart architecture. Understanding these rendering strategies helps us appreciate the complexity and ingenuity behind every click. If you enjoyed diving into the architecture of instant websites, you're going to love our next episode in the Frontend Web playlist. We'll be breaking down the concept of caching and CDNs, how these global networks further supercharge website speed. Don't miss it!